The 2014 excavations at Fairyland are focusing on two distinct areas of the site. The first is a 36-foot long by 16-foot wide builder's trench associated with the construction of Lord Baltimore's stone house, seen here in the foreground. At the bottom of this trench we are finding a variety of items associated with the construction of Baltimore's home, including things like sand and lime to make mortar, slate for the walls and the roof, and we're also finding many bird, fish, and mammal bones, likely representing the remains of meals once taken by the masons, slaters, and carpenters working on this very same structure. In this same deposit we found some early clay tobacco pipes and one surprising but very important artifact, a tiny copper crucifix. It measures only 2.8 centimeters across and bears a simple representation of Christ on the front and the Virgin Mary and Christ Child at the back. It is important because it is a very clear physical manifestation of religious freedom and toleration in British North America. George Calvert, the first Lord Baltimore, founded this colony at Fairyland as a place where all Christians, Catholic and Protestant, could worship freely without fear of persecution. Back in England, Catholics could be fined or imprisoned or even in some cases executed for openly practicing their faith. But here in Avalon, at Fairyland, things were very different. Catholics and Protestants could live and work and worship freely. This artifact brings us back to that very important time in early Canadian history. So it's an important historical artifact, but it's also a very important religious artifact as well. The crucifix, we believe, was very likely part of a rosary, and it may have belonged to an early Catholic colonist, or one of the two Jesuit priests who came here in 1627, or possibly even once belonged to Lord Baltimore himself. Now at the far west end of the site, the remainder of the field crew are excavating a very rich midden deposit, containing a variety of artifacts dating from the second half of the 17th century. Each day, Dave and Wayne and Neil are literally unearthing hundreds and hundreds of objects, including things like clay tobacco pipes, bottle glass, nails, and ceramics. Some of these ceramics are very decorative in nature and manufactured in places like France and Italy and Spain. Earlier this week, David also found this very nice tin-glazed bowl, and on the inside was painted the name Jean. Now, as many watching this video already know, we actually have very little historical documentation pertaining to 17th century Fairyland, so we do not know for certain who this Jean was. However, we do suspect that the midden deposit from which it came is associated with members of the Kirk family, possibly Philip Kirk or David Kirk II. So perhaps the Jean written on the inside of this bowl was the wife of Philip Kirk or David Kirk II, or possibly even one of their daughters. Whatever the case may be, it's certainly a wonderful artifact associated with one of Fairyland's former residents.